All right, folks. Welcome in. Everybody, how you doing? Uh-oh, are we out of focus? Hold up. I think I'm kind of out of focus here. There we go. That's looking better. What is up, folks? How you doing today? Welcome. It is, I don't want to say it's a Thursday because we don't do this every Thursday, but it is a post-monthly report day. And you know we do those a lot. So I hope you guys are excited for some development news. We got a nice, fresh out the oven monthly report here. Okay, it's not fresh out the oven. It's been sitting under a heat lamp for 24 hours, but this keeps very well. You'd be surprised. You can eat these quite well after they've been served. So happy to go over some ships, some features, some good news, some bad news, some interesting news, some boring news. Frenchy Cat, I see you first up in here. Hello, Mr. Mod, holding down YouTube. Thank you so much. Reese, non-left. Chala, Punji holding down the Toes Gang over there on Twitch. I see joined by Reese, my man. Toes Gang is strong today. I'm happy for y'all. What's the subject for today? We got a lot of subjects. We got AI stuff, we got feature stuff, we got new missions, we've got engine updates, art assets, graphics, all kinds of stuff going on today. Unfortunately, no UI, which just rubs me all kinds of wrong ways. One of the best, like most universal updates, some improvements we could get to this game are UI based. Tell me I'm wrong. Come on. Who wouldn't like a new star map? A better HUD. An inventory system. The inventory system's gotten better. I'll give them that. Pedro, how you doing? Hello. Mrs. Tomato, I see, was first on Twitch. I'll give you that. You know, not like you didn't know this 2 hours before everybody else. Milkman, good morning. Shadow Spectre 07, EA's one, Eason in the verse. Good afternoon, however you say that name. Revelis, welcome. All right, folks. Jester, Mark Holio, Country Deplorable, Snuff It, Carlton. Oh, we've got some classics in here today. We got some of the great newcomers been hanging out the last couple weeks. We got some middle of the pack folks here. Everybody's in the monthly report chats. That's why I always love monthly reports, man. That time of the month when we all get together, get super critical and super hyped at the same time. Take the best challenge out of the game. The UI must stay as it is. Well, my friend, I didn't know you were so cultured as to know the ways of Star Citizen hardcore mode. Sticking with what's already there. Let's get this underway though. We've got some things to get through today, and I don't want to rob you of that good joy. So let me get on some better music here. No. Are you not even shuffling? It's not even shuffling. Shuffle this for me, please. I need you to mix things up for me. What am I doing on the Miss Tomato show? Oh, she's taking a break today. She said I could take over for now. Not sure how to swing this one. It seemed okay. I am not expecting anything too super impressive. I haven't read through this whole thing yet. Just skimmed it a little bit. I'm not expecting anything too crazy. At the point that we are at right now, they're being very quiet. To be honest, these monthly reports have been the best way to get information this year so far. My lights off? That's just boring and sad, huh? Let's turn the lights on. Can't just not be lit. Come on. Who doesn't like colors? So this year has been relatively, let me bring this in a little bit. Come here. Bring it in. It's been light. Honestly, communication-wise, I would say CIG is being a little quieter than usual. I do think there are some reasons for that, though. For starters, PES threw everything off, I think. The fact that we needed to get a 3.19 patch in May really kind of messes up the whole schedule of patches. You guys know ISC usually runs for, what, 9 weeks? And then takes the last 3 weeks of the quarter off. But because that usually lines up with a patch coming out at the end of that, there's usually plenty of stuff to go over in that ISC. But because PES took so long, they had to use some of their 319 stuff earlier on in the year, which means that this last round of ISC didn't have as much interesting, useful info for us. So now we not only are dropping ISC for 3 weeks, but we also didn't really have a lot going into this hiatus. On top of that, 3.20 or whatever that patch would be isn't right around the corner. So we don't have Evocati leaks really. I mean, we have some Evocati leaks, but we don't have a PTU. We don't have a finalized roadmap to look forward to. So like information wise, this year is so weird. And these monthly reports have really been the only way of understanding fully what's going on, because ISC has not been giving us any sprint reports. Generally, we got one, I think, this year, but sprint reports are a good way of knowing what's going on. None of them. So these monthly reports are kind of like the tap. They've unscrewed the hinge a little bit. It's dripping out water. We're getting as much as we can, sweating it all out in real time. And nah, we're spoiled. It's nice to get a lot of information, but it is a little bit frustrating when it dries up a little bit. And I think this summer right now specifically, and leading up to CitizenCon, is probably going to be a little bit less fruitful of interesting news. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Feel free to fight me in the comments. I will leave those fights unanswered, because I do hope that you are right if you're more optimistic, but I do think it's going to be relatively quiet outside of these. So let's jump into this one and see what they've got for us today. We'll start with AI as always. Can we zoom this back out? Now I feel crowded. Thank you. Curious if development speed will increase now that Starfield is around the corner? No. I don't think that any outside game is going to change the development speed of this game. Star Citizen is going to be just as unfinished in 2 years as it would have been if Starfield was nowhere to be seen. And they've known about it for years, so they've had plenty of time to speed up development if they wanted to in response. But no, I think the better thing for them to do is to do what they've been doing, work as their company has scheduled to work, keep things in order as they're meant to be. The more you react to things in the market, the more likely it is that things get thrown out of whack, right? You don't understand Foundation Festival? I can't help you there. I don't actually know what Foundation Festival is. Why don't we... No, I'm not even gonna look into it. I'm sorry, I can't tell you. It's an event with ship sales, and I don't know if anything's going on in game for it actually. There are other channels that would be able to tell you more, I think. Nia Kitten, you have not missed anything yet. We're actually about to get started here, so it will have ship sales. I just assume most, if not all, events do. So I would think maybe discounted starter pack or something. I don't know. It doesn't usually have ship sales. Okay, never mind then. Don't take my word for it. It's to help new backers. So maybe something on starter packs, maybe some focus on tutorials. They give away special paints and gear for helping people being a guide. Okay, cool. So there you go. So it's not event. It's not an event. It's just like a period of time. Either way, that's Foundation Festival if you didn't know. AI Tech. Let's get started on this report. Last month, AI Tech finalized their work on dynamic pathfinding regeneration. As mentioned in previous reports, this feature allows dynamic paths to detect when a navigation mesh is modified and check whether it's still valid or if a new path request is needed. We've been seeing this in the recent vertical slices. AI... Oh, I don't have a lot of footage. I really need to remember to save that stuff before the monthly reports come up. The recent AI behavior stuff, they showed us a lot of pathfinding, and I don't know if this is... Let me see, actually. Is this what they're talking about? Detecting paths with the navigation mesh as it's modified. Check whether the path is... So I think that's like this. How a path will update based on whatever the navigation mesh is saying is valid or invalid. And we've gone over this a couple of months now. Just more of the same AI behaviors that they're trying to get more into a final place where they could put it into the game and it appears polished. Abdi coming in here and subbing Subbing up on a stream on the second stream since you've been on. If you guys don't know Abdi Ohan there, give him a follow here on Twitch. Can we get a shout out for the man, please? He was just on the podcast earlier. We had a podcast earlier this week. And it was over on... geez. It's on the second YouTube channel right now. And it's a really good talk, man. That was a fantabulous talk. Let me tell you. It's got... we talk about Star Citizen difficulties, how difficult it's been this year, if that has been more so than previous years, and ultimately whether or not it's a good time to take a step back. Because for a lot of people, I think right now is a good time to just look at the tech, look at development, and soak it in. Maybe take a step back from the gameplay itself. Lasted like 5 minutes in the Discord. Love me, but my community sensitive boys. Hey man, my community represents me. If they're sensitive, I'm sensitive. I make the rules, right? Me and Mrs. Tomato run that place like this. If they were pushing you out for one reason or another, it's probably because we set the precedent. Do I know when 3.2 will be released? Just wondering so you can get prepared. 3.20. Probably September, October. Don't know when exactly it's going to be though. Yeah, probably October-ish time would be good. Alright, so when a new dynamic path is requested, the pathing component creates and stores navigation anchors. These anchors notify the pathing component each time the mesh changes, which then checks through navigation raycast to see if the path is still valid. If not, the last part of the path is recomputed. Okay, I actually do think that's kind of this stuff. As the fire lights up, you get these areas of no-go, can-go. And in real time, the AI will have to update with the navigation where it can go. Which I imagine is very busy when you have a lot of AI and they all have to update. And all those updates need to go to all the players in the area and stuff. You can just see it getting really busy. Review your logs, you did nothing? Looks like Mrs. Tomato saw the logs. Alright, next, the team continued developing a feature to allow NPCs to enter and exit a ship's airlock from EVA. I wonder if this includes the AI rotating around their wrist 20 times when they jump out of their ship. Or, my favorite, you EVA in and immediately fall to the ground. Can't wait to see what kind of good stuff we get from NPCs EVAing into ships. For this, they had to consider cases when a ship or space station is moving or silently rotating. They're currently working... Don't you know they never silently rotate? They always play that song from Inception, or not Inception, Interstellar, whenever they rotate. It's just part of space. They're currently working on a scenario for transitioning from ship with gravity to zero-G by vaulting over a ledge. That's always fun. Love vaulting into the zero-G. First stream, been lurking almost a year. Donald. Wait, you've been lurking on the streams or on the videos for almost a year? Welcome, by the way, to the stream. Good morning, Tree. How you doing? Do I know what time the free fly starts today? Would it be 12 EST? We could always do a quick double check. I'm guessing it says it on This Week in Star Citizen. Otherwise, I have no idea. I don't see it on here. Free fly, free fly. Just says a free fly starts. Maybe it's on Spectrum, but I don't know. Somebody might need to look that up themselves. I don't have the secret. Hold on. We can. Hey, Chris. Yeah, I've got somebody here who's wondering about the free fly. You got. Yeah. No. They're just asking about a free. They don't. No, not ships. They don't want more ships. They're just wondering about a free fly event. Right? Yeah. You said. Yeah, their name's B. Landry. Mm-hmm. Oh, they haven't bought enough ships yet, so they can't get into the free fly. Hmm. Okay, yeah, I'll let them know. Yeah. No, 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 they weren't asking for ships. Yeah, don't worry. Okay. All right. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. So the free fly is starting for concierge members shortly. You'll just have to wait and see when it's going to come back for everybody else, but you know, I'm sure it'll be passed along soon enough. Can you guys imagine that? Oh, you're fine. He's Praetorian. I don't even know what that is, but I'm sure that's qualified. Can you imagine though if like they're, yeah, we got a free fly event coming up. Don't worry about it. Concierge only. Record scratch. Okay, let's get back to this. I'm sorry. Distractions. Next, the team continued. We did that. For tools, AI continued improving and extending functionality for Apollo subsumption. I'm not even going to pull this up. I pull up a subsumption every single month, including adding 2 new windows for the task archetypes and variable type editors. This will allow the team to better visualize and modify archetypes and variables. I need to just like, I need to get like an emote of me just going subsumption with like the words here. Just make that pop up every single month because they never don't. You can never not find subsumption. Even when they're talking about something that's not subsumption, they're like, yeah, and we'll use subsumption to do that. Okay. Concierge are generous. I know, I've seen them. I am one. I recognize them. The only difference being other games have story. I jumped into, I think, a second part of a comment there. You've heard people complain there's no content in the game. There's only so many ways you can slice and dice a mission type. Even in other games, including expansion, you have the same issue. I will say that this game has suffered from mission, a lack of missions. Like, I made a video earlier this year that goes around this. I agree with you. It's a sandbox game and it's got plenty of stuff you can do yourself, but for a game that is so complicated, that has ways of finding gameplay that are not very obvious, I think they need to rely on missions to teach that first. Like, making these salvage missions was a genius. I mean, okay, not genius that anybody should have done that, but making the salvage missions is a really good idea because most of these people who are trying to get into salvage don't really understand that you have to go out, find a ship, scan it, scrape off the hull, take it back and sell it. If you run a mission, that means that the game's basically running you through a salvage tutorial and eventually you'll be able to go off and do it on your own. I think they should do that for everything. Data running, farming, base building, crafting, mining, refining, anything that you have to do in this game, sandbox related. I think there should be some missions that teach it, right? And then they kind of drop you off and then go do it yourself now. Something like that. I think that that's probably what people mean by content. There's not enough of stuff that just kind of takes you along for the ride. You got to make the ride. And a lot of times that ends crashing into a moon's surface like I did not long ago. Sorry, Mrs. Tomato. We appreciate your service. All right, where were we? The other AI tool, is this it? The other AI tool, the usable group coordinator, received improvements too. Yay! This included a minor flow refactor to reduce the performance impact from bad setups and to more clearly notify the designers what's wrong. Are they calling me out here? Do they mean bad computer setups or do they mean like setups in their own software? I feel attacked. It's kind of rude. Last month, AI Tech also supported existing features and the upcoming release builds. For navigation links, they created new flow graph nodes that allow the designers to disable and re-enable navigation links for a platform or object container. For example, this will enable NPCs to use moving platforms. That's cool. I think this has been so freaking long ongoing. In fact, I bet you I can go Star Citizen, let's say June 2022 monthly report. And I bet you there's probably a mention of navigation links in there. God, there's not going to be now. I need to stop doing that before I've confirmed. Come on, please be in there, please be in there, please be in there. Nope. I'm dumb. Okay, let's try. Hold on. Wait. I know this is gonna work. August. Don't make me look like a dummy. Navigation links. There we go. See, they've been talking about this for such a long time. One improvement allows the designers to specify the opening width for a door navigation link and use that information during the pathfinding setup. They also began extending ladder functionality by creating new navigation link adapters and movement blocks so that AI characters can use them in similar ways to players. And you go almost a year forward, and again, flow graph nodes that allow the designers to disable and re-enable navigation links. Navigation links are super, super important. Soup's important. Look at how much they talk about them. And then when you go to some of their new demos, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the right clip here. Oh, so close. Yeah. So like this would be a navigation link, right? That is, oh God, it's cut off right at that part. But basically this is an elevator that NPCs will have to use the button to call, get onto the platform, and then go down to the bottom floor, which I don't think I have that part in here. Here we are. I do. So all of this stuff is dependent on navigation links. This is how NPCs are going to be able to follow us in missions, going to be able to act on missions themselves. Literally, like when you see an NPC use some kind of a elevator or hover pad or something to come to a fight in any sort of game, whether it's, I don't know, Halo, Mass Effect, all of that, all of those things, they're using navigation links, you know, to jump back and forth between areas. So this is super fundamental for AI, and I would say it's nice to see what they're saying about it, but I have no idea what it means. Lack of missions, what they have done with salvage, they could do with mining. What they're doing with investigations, they can do with missing persons. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah, that kind of stuff. And then they're all modules too, right? So then once they have that basic mission, they can start to mix and match modules, and you have that know-how between the different types of gameplay. I love it. Also a lot of stuff not working and tech not in the game. That too. Just getting on and on break at work, have to ask before you go back if AMD or NVIDIA is better optimized for this game. Are you talking about GPUs? I don't think it really matters that much. NVIDIA still, I think, has more benefits GPU wise. AMD though does really, really good CPUs that work for this game. The X3D series run very well in this game, and I would check out 10pound42 on YouTube. He has a lot of great videos on that. I feel like 99% of these updates are referring to Squadron 42. I think the AI sections are in a large part, but when you start to get down to the art, definitely art is exclusively Star Citizen, and the features sections generally are mostly Star Citizen stuff. But yeah, like engine, graphics department, lighting, live tools, not even live tools. I think mainly it's the AI section that really screams Squadron. Hello, Skiddo. Or just skip the NPCs that are standing on tables and stuff. Release some more server FPS that way, maybe? Well, at some point they'll have to add the NPCs in back in, right? We probably won't get any of these bits until after Squadron 42 anyway. I think that's true for some of this stuff, but the navigation links are pretty important. And it's something that they've kind of started to show. Let's see if I have that clip. I think I have that clip here. Yeah, so like this is navigation link work. And I think it's definitely stuff that they're trying to get working in the game for us within the next year and a half. Which I don't think Squadron's coming out in the next year and a half. So that would be like what this is. And I do think this is going to be possible. I'm hoping they show it off this year. I don't know if they're going to, though. Did we just get raided? Hankin. What? Hey, man. How's it going? Thank you for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. I don't think we've gotten a Hankin raid in a long time, if ever. Welcome, folks. Good to see you. We are going over Star Citizen development, if you're into that kind of thing. It's not gameplay. You're not going to find me crashing into moons or robbing folks of their picos. We're going over a monthly report in hefty detail, as we do every month. So if you like that, check it out. If you don't, but you like ships more, exclamation point giveaway. We'll make a link pop up where you can win an Ares Inferno at the end of the month. Sorry for killing me in the tank tournament all that time ago. It was an honor, to be honest. I never forget a tank death. How you been, dude? How is Star Citizen treating you? Did this man get a shout out? Can we get a shout out for this guy? Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What are we doing? There it is. Hankin, my dude, how is Star Citizen going these days for you? Croncy won't invite you to host with him anymore because of that day. Croncy runs a strict policy, man. You can't act out. You gotta keep it to the point. That man he's become such a great, I don't know, are they called shoutcasters or just like narrators? He's doing phenomenal though with Atmo and all their stuff, and apparently with tank battles. But dude, we got to get another one going. Now they're throwing them in Arena Commander. How many more rounds can we get? When is the Idris M coming out? That one I couldn't tell you. That's one of those questions that floats around in the clouds, waiting for that proverbial Star Citizen rain that drops a bunch of information on us. It's going to be a humid day before we get that info. You're so excited for that tank mode? Same. Dude, the potential of Arena Commander is pretty wild. Very cool. Anyways, man, thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate it. Great to see these new additions and stuff. It's just a little disheartening that it feels like a tease almost. The AI stuff always feels, yeah, like a... Especially when they say things like, this team implemented this, and you're like, okay, but not into the game, just into your dev build. Like, when do we get that? When Tumbril Ranger? I do, it is marked as Ask Me Anything. You're asking me anything. I can't know that one either. You guys know what the Ranger is? The Ranger is a very cool vehicle. I promise we'll get right back to the report after I show you this. Ranger's beautiful. It's a motorcycle. Like, you know, if you didn't want a motorcycle in your space sim, too bad. This is actually kind of like Bionicle's looking motorcycle to me. I wonder if I could find that. Bionicles. How did you spell it? Is it with eyes? Bionicle's motorcycle. Yeah. Like, this gives me this kind of vibe. This thing right here. That's the Ranger. That's that. And they brought it in game. And I like it. I like it, but it's going to be a while before we get it. They got to figure out, they got to get the ground vehicles working correctly, which it does look like it's going to happen in 320. So maybe a Ranger in the next year or two. I don't know. Wish I had a 4-second side-by-side GIF to show the change. Oh, that would be amazing, dude. That'd be awesome. Alrighty, folks. Let's get on to animation. I get too distracted. Y'all are just your good conversation, you know? I'm trying to read, okay? Don't make this job difficult. Alright, animation. Last month, the animation team worked on facial animations for a new character set. They also progressed with their ongoing work on boids, which relate to animals flying in flocks and swarms. Boids are, I don't even think I have. I know there's a clip for that. I don't think I saved it, though. Nah, I think I missed it. Yeah, boids are just literally small creatures doing whatever they do in the verse. Oh, I do have it. Look at that. Here's some boid fish. And here are some boid birds. Yay! Like very, very basic generic fauna. Nothing too crazy. We doing boids now, boys. Art on the character side. In June, the character art team continued working on the Dusters and Headhunters gangs, creating new outfits for the former and polishing existing items for the latter. The Dusters are a Stanton-based gang, so this is another faction that will be causing us some trouble. It's the next Ninetales, right? Ninetales has always kind of been around in game, but they were never branded. They didn't have their outfits. They didn't have their vibe. And I don't know when it was. I think it was sometime last year maybe, or the year before, when they really brought Ninetales up to the proper status of a faction. That's essentially what they're going to do with Dusters. We're probably just going to get some of the missions that we go take. Instead of just generic pirate bad guy, they will now be Dusters, and there will be a reputation associated with them and all that kind of jazz. Headhunters, though, I believe are in... I think Headhunters are in Pyro. And this is actually a gang that I think hunts other gangs, but somebody else could probably confirm that in chat for me, specifically Astropub if you're here. So yeah, I think that these are both going to be solid additions to the game, but it all depends on reputation and how that works, which they are going to be talking about a little later in this report. We are going to CitizenCon, yes. Me and the Mrs. Tomat will be there. What about that big fat worm in earlier trailers? The worm was a mistake. It was in one video for a planetary tech demo. Not even a gameplay demo. It was a planetary tech demo that they wrapped up in a gameplay demo. And it's wildly out of place. You know what? I'm gonna do y'all a favor. Let me show you how far off that it's funny. It's funny how long and far away that thing is going to be. Check this out. So on the website, you can access the star map. This tells you everything you need to know about the lore of Star Citizen and the ridiculous scale at which they're going to have to continue to build for probably decades after this. These are the star maps, or rather the star systems in the game. This is the star map. You can see Stanton here, our little place. And there's a glitch on this map right now, so you can't actually zoom into stuff. But let me just give you an idea of how far away that sandworm is. It's in the Lear system. So you can see Lear right here. Stanton's right here. But that's kind of... it's misleading. Because if you turn the map this way, you can see that the Stanton system, in order to get to Lear, we can actually do a route. Let's do that. Stanton to Lear. Is it? Oh, it's EIR. My bad. Okay. And let's say you can use small routes. The shortest route is 7 jumps. 7 freaking jumps. Back me out of here. You would have to go from Stanton to You would have to go from Stanton to... Let me close the window. There he is. Okay. You would have to go from Stanton to Pyro, to Cano, to Davian, to Farron, to Idris, to Elysium, to Lear. And they have to build out all of the star systems in between there. So, honestly, that's what this guy is calling for right now. He's like, please pray for this. Wow. please make this happen at some point. So that's the craziness that is that sandworm. For whoever was asking about it, that's how far away it is. Anyways, let us continue on art on the character side. Alongside this, the character art concept team began the exploration phase for a new Headhunters gang member and prepared handoff sheets for additional Dusters outfits. There is actually a very cool... there's a cool picture that kind of breaks out the basic Ninetales characters. I do think that they strayed a little bit from this when they brought them in game, but I always liked this picture. I liked how like it gave you sort of a different vibe of all of the members. And I do hope that they do this with all of the gangs, at least with concept art, honestly. I'll hang it up. These are cool pictures. All right, art on the ship side. Do I think CIG will use AI to start creating planets and systems? I think they'll use their like procedural programs. Don't think they'll be AI based though. Maybe? I don't know. The Tumbril Storm is nearing the end of LOD 0 stage, with some areas approaching final content. Materials were also polished, internal damage was built, and most lots were created. The team are currently undertaking customization work and will move on to UV2 projections in July. I can't imagine that it's not coming in 3.20. I bet it'll show up here. But again, it just depends on when they're going to ship that patch. How fast do I think we will get next galaxies? Oh. Nyx probably coming like within 2 years after Pyro. Wish you would sing Sinatra. Well, I would, what did you miss? We're only up to art on the ship side. You didn't miss much. Guess when your grandkids are born? What is that for? All right. Following last month's report, the Aopoa Santakyai is awaiting its second gray box gate review pass. They're going back at it. They already told us that it didn't work the first time. They're going to try it again. It failed the first time around due to a missing dashboard implementation plan. We have now created the dashboard and generated the bulk of the art for it. We simply need to make it past the gate and we will be officially in LOD 0 stage, which is good stuff. Honestly, I feel like they hit something pretty significant LOD 0 not too long ago. Weren't we getting, wasn't there another LOD 0 vehicle in the, was it the April report? But maybe that was the Fury. Art on the ship side. Just a regular LOD pass. Maybe it was a LOD 0 pass and they just, I don't know. Crusader A1 Spirit and okay, so the A1 Spirit was at LOD 0. Not complete, but pretty close. So I wonder if they put that away since it's not in this update or if it just passed LOD 0 and then they kept it where it was. Because there were a lot of other ships in the ships section not too long ago, and they've just stopped talking about them. No updates on the C1. The Santakyai cockpit is also receiving a polish pass before the team moved on to the rest of the ship. Ship art then worked with the narrative on Xi'an language translations, which will appear in the ship's UI and character inner thought system. That might be the first. This might be the first gameplay implementation of alien languages. Oh, that's super exciting. This might be the first time we actually start to see alien influences in this game. Insane sticker. Yo, thanks for the raid. Appreciate you. Coming over here from doing some Star Citizen stuff. What were you up to? Keeps getting distracted by the Bionicles bike. Honestly, have you seen that thing? Okay. I would have copped that as a kid. I had all the coolest Bionicles, but that would have one. What's the difference between LOD and LOD 0? I don't know. LOD is the level of detail. LOD 0 would be the level of detail at 0 meters. I don't know why they would say it passed its LOD stage. It doesn't really make much sense. Maybe they just missed the 0 at the end of that. Do I have a prediction on release for Star Citizen or for one of these ships? What do I think the legal ramifications will be on CIG when they go bankrupt and they have to shut down development? I feel like that's more of a if than a when. But if they went bankrupt and had to shut down development, I don't know. I am not... Don't take legal advice from me. I am not a legal expert. Do I remember Galador? From Bionicles? Nah. I wasn't huge on the lore, I'm not gonna lie. Trying out some salvage, looking for drugs, didn't find any. Finished up on the 890 jump mission. You can find the drugs with the salvage, and it's just, it's great. I love that. When you go in there looking for some, you know, pick yourself up from your bootstraps, blue collar kind of real good work that you're doing, and you walk away with like 4,000 kilograms of drugs. What can I say? I gotta sell what I find. I'm a salvager. Hey, thank you for the raid. Get a good night's sleep, man. If you guys didn't catch that shout out, go check them out. Insane Sticker, a big thanks for passing his folks on over to this monthly report stumble through we're doing. I'm trying, I really am. Let's see. So community stuff I don't really go too much into. Mainly just some of the stuff that was going on with the events in Alien Week going on. This is one of the places where you can find alien language. So this is one of the languages in game. It is a fully real language. If you understand it, you can read it. There are courses, there are resources. There are actually people. I have a podcast episode on my second channel, Space Tomato Alien Lore Podcasts. Maybe that makes it pop up. It does. So this episode right here, I'll drop it in the link if anybody's interested in this in the chat. But this is, I talked to two people who are basically experts on these languages and how they've been handling them. And up until now, really the only way you could encounter them was through these kinds of posts where you could read it, figure it out, translate it, and then you'd find something interesting. Now, as we just read here, it does look like they're finally starting to work them into the gameplay itself. And that could be very, very cool. What is ray tracing? And you said new ships? New ships. Yeah, we were just going over some new ships. Aopoa Santok Yai, Tumbril Storm, and we will be talking about the Argo SRV soon. Ray tracing is a method of real-time lighting in gaming, I believe, where you use global illumination to fill areas with light based on the actual vector direction from the light source as opposed to just baking it into some area. There are plans for VR. VR is something that they will start to look more into once the Vulkan API is very much in game and settled and good, and this game is well farther along in development than we are now. Yes and no. Global illumination is the only way. Yeah, you use global illumination, right? All right, let's jump forward to the engine section. In June, the core engine team finished integrating the latest changes into the main development branch. That's really good. That's actually a really big deal. Because we haven't had a new development branch to the game since March, and we probably won't have another one until September. So the core engine team getting a lot of their stuff into the dev branch means that we could actually be seeing some good engine improvements in 320. Took a significant effort, but the team managed to stabilize and roll out the many major rewrites made over the last few months. Additionally, experiments were done on a more cooperative threading model to execute physics code, which should deliver general performance improvements. Yay. Was there an update on the Spirit series? No, not this month. Oh yeah, ray tracing can be used for other things. I wasn't saying ray tracing is only for lighting, just that it's used for this form of lighting. They use, what do they call it? Ray casting in other places. I don't know if that's at all related, but they have talked about that quite a bit. Okay, for generic shapes, all editor side work for regular shapes was finished and is now with the artists for feedback. The next stage is editor support for multiple subsegments to allow the team to build more complex shapes out of primitive subshapes. This seems like it'd be useful for things like asteroids and stuff, but I'm not sure what exactly it would be applied to. The Star Build P4K V2 and Mem Replay systems received various improvements and new features in preparation for them rolling out to other teams. It's cool. Core Engine also worked with physics to provide tech support for the Misk Hull C. What a ridiculous ship the Misk Hull C is. I put out a video about that last week. Just kind of my thoughts on it, what problems it could be facing when it launches, and drawing some attention to the, oh God, hopeful economic updates that we're going to need at that time. If CIG goes bankrupt, your money is gone. It was invested in the game and alpha development to fund the project. It will be investment and less of a purchase, assuming it went bankrupt, backers would. I have no idea. Purchased this game like 2 weeks ago and have not been able to play it. Did the tutorial mission and turned it off to get back. Haven't been back since. That's fair. Did you, any particular reason, or you just not feeling it? Do you have to get on a waiting list to fly with your crew? My crew? No, you just have to, you don't even have to be in the org. It just depends on when I get to play the game. But usually I'm playing with the org on Saturdays. That's the most reliable time to join up. It's just the CAD term for ray tracing. I see. Her spindles. The Hull C and her spindles. All the engineering and design work that had to go into that. If you guys don't, I'm now going to show you what we're talking about, because I don't have the footage for it. I can't. I don't think I can show you. Unless I have the whole video. I do, look at that. So this thing, the engineering and design work that had to go into this thing. Oh man. I love it though, you know? It's like, is it worth it? Did you really have to do all this? And the answer is a resounding no, but we are so happy they did. It took such a long time. It's just like, I know that 5 years down the line, I'm probably going to look at it and be like, what a beaut. Or I might look at it and be like, man, I can't believe we actually thought that was important. Who knows? We'll see. But right now, I love it. You felt lost after the main tutorial mission? Yeah, this game is definitely not ready for folks. If you're looking for like a full experience that's gonna be helpful, this game won't be there for you. It's very, very new player unfriendly right now. Oh, by the way, welcome in, Expat Brat. Can we get a shout out for Expat, please? It was just on a Inforunners episode. I actually don't think that's out yet. We're on an Inforunners episode recently, though. Make sure to check that out if you haven't already. YouTube channel, Inforunners. They have a lot of great speculation, buying guides, ship guides, kind of talk show content like this. Okay, the physics team supported the game teams with various bug fixes, progressed with cantilever beams for the Maelstrom editor, and investigated solver improvements for driven ragdolls. Is that the first time we've read Maelstrom? Somebody let it slip recently. I think it might have been John, possibly. The shout-out command only works for mods, by the way, guys. Just a heads up. Maelstrom is the procedural damage system for this game, and I thought it was just going to be ships, but it's ships, weapons, outposts, ground locations. Like, a lot of stuff is going to get procedural damage in this game, which was kind of surprising to hear. An MGUI view was then implemented to allow rapid tweaking of simulation parameters for character attached cloth so that changes become immediately visible. Character cloth and the cloth system in this game's always been something they like to talk about. Regarding team structure, the entity system tech team transferred to the core engine team. Interesting. While their focus will still be on everything related to server meshing, bringing the team over brings the knowledge and ownership of the entity system together, which should allow more efficient communications. I don't know enough about that team. I don't even recognize the name of that team. Entity Tech? Was it Entity System Tech Team? Never heard of it. I don't think they're on the tracker. No. I don't even think the core engine team is on the tracker now that I think of it. No. Just the engine team. I guess that's probably core engine team. I don't know what that would include though. PES and server meshing work, I guess. Hankin, you heading out? Getting some sleep, dude? All right, thanks again for the raid. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you had a good time. I think it's an internal sub-team. People who made socks. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna have to, like, ask around about this because I don't recognize the team name. Anyways, the entity system tech also integrated their recent improvements into the main development branch. Yay! They then worked on various spawning time improvements and cost visualizations to allow for further guided loading time optimization. Finally, async entity loading was enabled in the editor for faster startup and improved efficiency. The reason I cheer whenever they talk about moving stuff into the dev branch is because all of this stuff that we're reading is just stuff that they're doing for themselves. It's never actually confirmed to be coming to us until we see it either here on the release view or we hear that it's been moved into the main development branch. If it's in the main dev branch, there's a really good chance we're going to see it in the next major update. And since we haven't seen a main dev branch update since like 3.18, which for those who were playing on PTU has been since January, it's been a while. And a lot of these fixes we've been reading about over the last 5 months will actually get into the game. It's a bunch of servers working together to distribute the workload. It makes it seem like everyone is on a server. Oh, somebody asking about server meshing? Isn't that what EVE Online has been doing for ages? I don't believe EVE does server meshing. I think they have, you still have to travel in between. Actually, I'm not even going to talk about EVE because I don't know it. Maybe they have been, but I haven't heard when I ask people about like examples of it. I never really hear about EVE. 100 systems, 12 years for one, so 1,200 years from now. I mean, that's like believing that a car company is going to take as long to build their 1,000th car as they did their first car. Obviously, they're not going to be able to build 100 systems in 10 years, but to think that the amount of time it took them to build Stanton is how long it'll take to build everything else would be insane. That'd be crazy. The reason it's taken so long is because they've been investing in systems to make it faster in the future. This game is for your grandkids or your grandkids. It's not for us. I don't know about you, man, but I'm playing it. People keep making the grandkids joke, and all I can think in my head is, man, how fucking cool is it gonna be if my grandkids playing the same game I played in my 20s? I hope that my grandkids play this game. Pretty sure Atlas uses server meshing. I think the best example I could find is Spatial OS. And, oh no, that's not the website. What's it called? Spatial OS and, I can't find a resource for it. Whatever happened to Spatial OS? Just a bunch of forum posts about it now. Wow. It really has kind of shrunk down, huh? Spatial OS and Dual Universe are the main things I know using meshing. Testing is for us, complete game is for your grandkids. Sure. Whatever you want to call it. I'm playing it though. No game is ever completed if the money is still flowing in. Saw a hilarious clickbait news article saying SC is taking so long because they're working on blanket physics for ships. Hey, they are, all right? Every single monthly report, they talk about blanket physics. You'd think they'd be over it by now. You could say things bad. It's just, I think it's always ironic to say that our grandkids will play it when our grandkids playing the game is going to be a huge sign of success. I do think it's fine for people to not be interested in this game right now and to also not play it and to not want to play it and to hate it and to think it's bad. There's nothing wrong with that. But the rhetoric of grandkids are going to be playing this game and not us, and 1,200 years to finish the game, and it's like people coming out and saying this is the best thing to happen to gaming already. It's just hyperbole on the other side, you know? I think it breaks down discussion. I think it derails important points, but also shit posting. I get it. All right, let's talk about features though. In June, the Arena Commander feature team's focus was on polishing and bug fixing for Alpha 320. Engineering also completed the new competitive scoring and team balance systems. A small quality of life refactor was done to the Flash-based FPS loadout editor. They're still using Flash. Now game modes automatically supply consumables to the player, allowing the team to simplify the editor to only include armor and weapons. They also continue to work on the new spawn screens being introduced to most game modes in Alpha 320 before moving on to in-game vehicle selection. I can't wait to respawn into a vehicle in this game and like go out with people just like Battlefield style, get into a vehicle, go out and do something. That'd be fun. Design continued polish passes across various locations, including adjusting security post Korea's control variant based on playtest feedback. For Tank Royale, the mode's Magda location failed its go-no-go due to underwhelming visuals and gameplay. They're like, this looks like shit. Aw, that sucks. In response, design worked on 2 replacement locations to provide greater variety and more visual interest. Daymar and Mia? Layer's second planet where the Good Doctor map is set. That's cool though. Like, they actually looked at the map and said, hey, this isn't just not going to be interesting, and moved it to another place. Clearly they've got plenty of time before 320 goes live, so hopefully that makes it in. Design then reworked all existing racetracks to utilize the new racing system being developed for release in a future patch. Finally, the team concluded work on 3 new experimental modes that feature the new flight system, master modes, free flight, duel, and endless Vandal Swarm. I'm probably going to do some kind of short explainer video on master modes next week, maybe. Something on the second channel, because I know this is a big deal that they're finally testing it in the game environment and with the public, so maybe that means we will actually be able to see it in the PU in the next 6 months. Spatial OS would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for CIG to use. Oh, is it expensive? Gotta work on those blanket creases. It's the toilet paper that gets them. Pooping mechanics and bad blanket physics is just a bad combination, you know? When you started your new job, SC began. At this rate, you'll be retired when it's live. Perfect timing. It's a great retirement plan. I never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be having a kid before I played Star Citizen as like a full experience. But here we are. How many people actually do racing? You rarely hear about it. I don't know. I couldn't give you a number, but I know that there's one of the biggest, I think, in-game communities is a racing community. Between Atmos and XGR and a couple of other racing communities, there's a lot of people involved in it. A lot of the racing is done outside of the game parameters, though. They set them up themselves. To be fair, you always get in STVs with your crew and sneak up at the locations to rob dealers. You run a reclaimer and hate running around in full armor all the time. I get you there. That is not a pregnancy announcement. That was not a pregnancy announcement. I gotta be careful with those, huh? No little tomat just yet. I'm just saying, you know. Obviously, the game's not going to be done in the next few years, so I'm extrapolating. Not only that, racing was one of the early selling points of SC. That too, yeah. One of the first things they ever added. Okay, let's talk about features on the character and weapon side. This is when things start to get, I think, a little more interesting for us common folk. In June, the features team began extending item wear to weaponry. This means that as a weapon is used, ages, or is kept in poor condition, it will become increasingly worn. For example, if a weapon is used while dirty, it will accumulate wear faster. As a weapon becomes worn, it will become less reliable and may overheat faster and start misfiring. This can cause minor or major jamming, requiring the user to spend time fixing the malfunction. That was a lot. That was kind of loaded. So let's look at first misfire. Weapon misfire and wear is something that, oh my god, wait. I thought this finished up work a long time ago. These must be weapons content team, weapons feature team. If we're looking at misfire and wear. Yeah, that's engineering. Okay. How about on the content team side? Weapon, misfire, and wear on the art and animation. Okay, so nothing audio-wise yet. This means this is probably still a ways away. But weapon misfire is good. That means that wear... I wonder if they have anything wear and tear related. No. Let me think. That might correspond with charge and drain. They might try and do one big update to weapons. Charge and drain functionality, which requires, you know, that same sort of idea of working with your weapon as well as weapon misfire. I think I also have some video of this stuff. If I'm not mistaken, it would be, gosh, what would that even be under? Wear? Wear and tear? Weapon wear and tear? Just this presentation they were talking about. But no, that's not gonna do much for us. I don't think I have anything on this. They have shown it before. These weapons start to get much dirtier and disgusting over time, and you know, we have games like that. Games do that. They break. Far Cry does that, right? You backed for the giant worm? Oh, my friend. My condolences. If durability is, say, 100, will that number degrade lower even if repaired? Durability. I assume it would degrade, yeah. Yeah, Breath of the Wild is another one like that. We have plenty of games where this kind of stuff happens, so just import that same understanding into Star Citizen, and you start to get it. I do think that over time, these weapons are going to get a lot more valuable as they are. Partially because of customization and less wipes, but also because they're adding new effects, damage types, plasma effects, radiation effects, burning. That kind of stuff is going to add some more to these weapons than what they already have. The team also looked into minor rework for the inventory screen. Love to hear it. We were just complaining about that. The current inventory screen is great for managing loadout and inventory storage, but we have been looking at options for speeding up looting while in combat. Love it. As part of this, the team experimented with a new UI that remains in first-person view. Get out of here. As it always should have been. I'm guessing what they got in at first, was that like a Crytek thing? And now they're just bringing it to first person? God, I want to believe that. But I don't know. I don't know why they ever made it third person, but I'm glad to hear that they're doing one that will remain in first person, at least for looting. This allows players to assess combat-related items and then quickly loot or exchange med pens, ammunition, grenades, and weapons. So maybe this is just for these kinds of small items and it's not for everything like your armor and stuff. Oh, but it's great. Fantastic that we'll be able to just stay in our normal mode as we should. Stop shooting at me, I need to loot. Imagine developing Pac-Man in the 70s and then you continue to develop Pac-Man into the 2020s and it finally releases. No one's playing Pac-Man 20 years from now when this game finally comes out. It looks like Pac-Man. I mean, okay. In all honesty, what's the point of that comment? I'm very curious. Do you want me to talk about what I think the game will look like in 20 years? Do you want me to acknowledge that it might not look good? Do you want me to say that nobody will be playing it? Why wouldn't people be playing it? I don't understand. If they're developing the game for 20 years, why wouldn't people play it for 20 years? They literally wouldn't be getting money if people weren't playing it, so they wouldn't be developing it. It just doesn't, I don't understand. I don't understand. All right, features on the gameplay side. Following the release of Alpha 3.19.1, the gameplay features team began focusing on upcoming patches. This included work on the vehicle tractor beams, with relevant vehicles being set up to support the feature. Like to hear it. Should not be just the SRV, please. For example, the upcoming Argo SRV was tested internally and towed its first ships. For those who don't know, the Argo SRV is our little tugboat. This thing is going to be important for a lot of stuff, to be honest. It'll be important for carrying boxes. It's going to be important for towing ships that are out of repair, derelict ships that you want to move around, mining rocks that you want to move all into one area. This will be a pretty good ship for industrial style gameplay, and maybe even for those who like to pirate in creative ways. Because they'd have to totally switch engines and rebuild the game. I don't understand. That Pac-Man is such a simple game with only one gold star citizen in the open world sandbox. Compare SC to its competition. The others look like trash now compared. I mean, don't games update their graphics engines over time? Like, people were saying that Star Citizen is going to look outdated by the time Squadron 42 comes out, but Squadron 42 is about to get ray tracing, and most of the games that come out right now don't have ray tracing. So how often do we have to walk back that they can't just update graphics engines to keep things looking better? I understand if design goes out of style, and if you design something that's not timeless, but if Frostbite, what's the name of the freaking Epic engine? If Unreal Engine, if Unity, all of these engines keep updating graphics for things, why wouldn't this be able to? What he means is that the systems they're fighting to build the game now, by that time the game is released, will be behind. But how would anybody who's not building games with these engines know that? I'm not a dev, and I don't work with game engines, so I'm not going to say whether or not it will be able to keep up. But from my eyes and what I see other games update their graphics. I see games in development that change game styles and settings, mechanics. I see DLCs that come out. Cyberpunk 2077 is about to release an update that's supposed to change so much of the basic gameplay. But you don't see people saying, well, that game released 3 years ago. They're going to be outdated now. They're not. It's not like there's a rule book of what you can and can't do. Wish you could forget about the long-term games to lampoon SC. World of Warcraft is old and looks pretty old school. Ultima is just as old or older, and Sigelian is playing that every week as a community game, isn't he? Yeah, he still plays Ultima. People still freaking wish Star Wars Galaxies was around. It's not even just the graphics. Like, they're putting so much work into these engine, planetary tech, AI working, locomotion, the EVA system, how it all connects to itself through PES and server meshing. None of that stuff has to do with graphics, but that's stuff people like, right? I love graphics, so I will be disappointed if it looks worse, but I don't think that's going to kill the game. Can't wait to play with an SRV. I'm trying to fling mining rocks at people. I'm wondering how they're going to handle that. Look at PlanetSide 2. If the gameplay is solid, nobody will even care. There's also that, yeah. Over 20 years later, people still play Star Wars Galaxies on emulators. I didn't even know people still play it. I know that people really, really want a second version of that. Hasn't CIG already cut back on the level of detail because it was too much at the moment? They've definitely cut back on certain things. They've removed stuff from the game. Don't get me wrong. What they're dealing with right now can't handle a lot of the stuff they want to do. They had to remove an entire landing zone out of the game to make it work right now. But that doesn't mean that the way that they're building the engine isn't going to allow them to accommodate that as they're optimizing and building. Gameplay is important. More important than how it looks. I hate to agree, but it is. I really like a good looking game. Bethesda uses Creation Engine, which is from 1998 and has had new stuff strapped on for 20 years. Now, I will understand that like maybe you have to start a new game to update graphics, but I'm also thinking if you're building a game like this and you expect it to last 15 to 20 years, at this point in time, with how we know games can be, with how big the gaming industry is, we understand that games are going to be around for a long time from now on. So I imagine they're building games differently now than they were 15 years ago. They understand now that in the year 2038, they might still need to be able to update their game to keep up with the market. Whereas in 2005, they were just making games and they were like, hey, some kids are going to be playing this. I hope they like it. Now they know they can make freaking billions from this stuff. Don't think it'd be possible for them to implement software from other updated engines. Thought when you build something using a certain engine, you're confined to it. They are, but they build the engine. So like, you know how Epic is adding, what is this stuff called? What is it called? Nanite? And these things that Epic is coming out with for their engine that people are loving. The LED stuff, the lighting stuff, those things are just a new version of that engine. And they just telling games, hey, turn your engine over from UE4 to UE5 to take advantage of this stuff. Star Citizen, CIG, in these updates right here in the engine section, at some point might say, the new version of the rendering engine is ready and the team will need to update it so that it's easier to work with their teams in game. And then they'll update it and the game will look different. They don't have to take it from other engines. Anyways, let's get back to this, huh? Back to the monthly report. The resource network also progressed well, with the team pleased with its current state. They then moved on to supporting resource network relevant features, including engineering and life support. Okay, so hearing about the resource network is weird. I would prefer to be hearing about engineering at this point, because we've been hearing about the resource network. Let's see if I can find it. New shared resource manager. No, so it wasn't in April. Were we in March? I feel like the resource network is moving more slowly than I was hoping it would. Nothing in March. When were they talking about this? May? Have they really not talked about this since the beginning of the year? Why is the monthly report for August 2014 in here? Why did we just jump to 2014? Strange. Strange new world. Resource network. Come on. Not in May either. They haven't really talked about it. They've mainly been talking about it in terms of engineering now. Here we go. So in February, the team continued their work on the resource network, which is now known as engineering gameplay. Features will provide a more in-depth look into this feature in an upcoming episode of Inside Star Citizen, which we saw, but nothing since then. Nah, this isn't Tony. This is Dan Truffin's baby. Tony's on the systemic stuff. This is more of the gameplay side of stuff. This is like This is a good example of it. Let me see if I can play the right clips for you here. No, I don't think I have all of them saved. Okay, here's a better example. So this is like when you have a room full of people and there's more people than are supposed to be in that room. It's rated for a lower amount of people for life support. You drain the oxygen in the room. Same thing goes for things like fires. If you've got a vacuum on the outside of a door and a fire is burning and consuming all the oxygen in the room, all you have to do is go and open the door and you would basically take the fire out, which will be important. This is like, fire is going to be definitely a thing on ships. It's part of the danger of ships. It's part of ship gameplay. You feel like it's gone super fast? It was first mentioned in 2022 of January. It was before that. I think it was 2020, the first time it was mentioned. I don't know if I have a video clip of that. Oh, you mean mentioned first time in the reports? Yeah, I kind of expected to be hearing more about it being implemented into more ships. I think the only ships that they've confirmed it's going into so far have been the Hull A, the Mercury, or the Ares, Crusader Ares ships, and the Hammerhead. Maybe they are putting it in all the ships, but they haven't specifically said that. So it just makes me nervous that they're still just talking about the feature itself and not the implementation of it. Wazzy, have the best at work, my friend. Have a good night. They can keep the game up to time standards, then that would be great. I think that's why they used their own engine. I think the smartest thing they could have done to make sure this game keeps up with the times over the long development is to use their own engine. As a former submariner, you will tell fire is very scary when in confined space like that. Fire is scary when I'm not in a confined space, all right? So I believe you, 100%. Other things that will come with this resource network system are the ability to control gravity in your ships or on space stations. It's important to remember this is going to apply to space stations and cities and outposts as well. So running missions to do things like turning power back on, re-establishing radio connections, stop fires, and repair ships, those will be a thing. What I'm really hoping for is that you can be an engineer on an AI ship. Kind of like how you can be a passenger on an AI ship. Imagine if you were just able to go onto a AI-controlled Javelin that flies around in hostile areas and shoots down baddies, and you basically are just tasked with making sure the ship keeps running. I don't know how they would facilitate that, but that'd be such an amazing mission for somebody who wants to be an engineer. You don't have to worry about other players. Seems like you might be better to make the whole ship in a vacuum in combat to avoid fires being an issue. Until you forget you got those folks in the medical bed. Oh, crap. We had people sleeping in here. All right, features on the mission side, folks. Last month, the missions features were redirected to cargo and pyro-based missions. Cargo-based missions are always great to hear. They're currently developing cargo hauling and ship piracy missions that leverage the new cargo grid and freight elevators features. It gives me a little jolt in the heart every time I see the mention of freight elevators. For those who just watched my recent video, you know I am skeptical as to whether we will see freight elevators this year or not, or even with the Hull C, whenever that comes, probably September or October time. I don't know. Audio is done with it, which is always good news. And the only work that's really going into it on the landing zone side of things is the artwork. Artwork is definitely something that could be done while this is out. We've seen this with some other things that released while they were still technically in work on the progress tracker. But there is also the USPU team work, which is on engineering. So that, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work or if they're going to be able to get it in this year. I really do hope so, though. But the fact that we're only just now hearing about missions that'll take advantage of this makes me think that that's at least another 6 months out. So we'll see. I do hope we have some good cargo missions to try out soon after the Hull C comes in the game. Yeah. Freight elevators and persistent hangars are a real blocker right now. All right. The development of a new cargo and escort-focused dynamic event also began. Blockade Runner will replace Ninetales Lockdown. That's probably pretty good, keeping its strengths and removing its weaknesses by using new features and proven designs. I like to hear that they're updating these events to better work with what they've got in game. That's good. Ninetales Lockdown, I think, was the least popular event we ever had. You went in depth on resource management last night in the Pathfinders podcast, and underpins everything. Vehicle stations, refineries, outposts, UGFs, all of it will drive quantum. Yeah, it's going to be huge, man. The potential of that system to supply us with like missions, things to do, all kinds of stuff, I think is still under exaggerated. That's the one. Halsey comes out with 320. Yeah. Who knows when 320 will be out, though. Okay, for combat missions... Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't finish this here. Work was completed on the ship cover-up mission suite. This entails scraping the hull off a criminal ship to make it unidentifiable to the approaching security forces, because they can't just go inside the ship and see who owns it. The team was also tasked with turning the new... the team was also tasked with turning the new player experience into a modular mission that can be run in any location with the correct setup. That would be good. They need to get the signage going for the other locations so that we can start getting a tutorial in all places. For combat missions, most quantum travel capable ships were added to the pool that missions can spawn from. However, some that don't make narrative sense weren't added. For example, criminals don't use the Drake Cutlass Blue. Oh, come on, that's such a great... It makes sense. If you're a smart criminal, you use the police car to commit your crimes, right? They never expect a cop. Come on. As part of this work, the game's ships were divided into difficulty bands derived from data mentioned in last month's report, which was gathered from pitting every ship against each other 1,000 times. People were asking about mass testing things in this game. They're starting to do it now. They've been talking about these tools a little bit over the last year. Now they're starting to get it in game to actually test stuff and give us better results for it. So that's cool. You think implementing quantum will be more problematic than server meshing? You hope they have a good solution to how it will work when they're at a point to start adding new star systems. Same, Uncle Sam. Quantum is killing me right now. Never seen a 3-month Evo outside of 318, and that was a whole different beast. So you would think 320 is sooner than later. I assumed it was October, but not anymore. Yeah, I thought it was October too. I'm still really hoping that they're just doing some early tests with Evo right now. Rather than like testing for full 320, they're just trying to get the weird things out of the way. I don't know. What would they do if they released 320 in September? Would they really want to wait until December to do another patch? Or would they try and fit another patch in October? No, they wouldn't do that either. I don't know. It's weird. It's not making sense to me. Even a 2-month Evo, I could see. Drop the patch in October and then another one in December. Yeah, I thought it was just specific parts. But that's usually how they start. A technical design document was completed for the system that governs player reputations with orgs. This relates to things players can do outside of missions, such as killing org members or rival players. This is, as I've been told, confirmed to be talking about in-game orgs, which is usually how they talk about them. They they'll talk about if they ever talk about reputation in orgs, generally they're talking about orgs as faction in game. But we have seen some of the way AI is supposed to react to you reputation wise, but the idea behind it was introduced like almost 2 years ago now. The idea of these people reacting to you differently based on your reputation. And if you go to the deliverable progress tracker, you will see that Reputation V2 was an upgrade to the reputation system that allows reputation to drive AI hostility. 15 weeks of work completed back in the beginning of 2022. Which is why the progress tracker, you can't trust it. Because sure, this was completed and maybe it wasn't all the work, but there was literally, they didn't talk about it at all. This is, I think, the first time they're giving us another good look into them actually doing the work on it. And it's a technical design document. So like, what's up, guys? That just annoying. It's kind of like iCache. It's like iCache was going, and then it wasn't talked about. And then suddenly something else replaced it. Now we're getting a technical design document for how reputation drives the way AI reacts to you, when on the progress tracker it was telling us that work was being done last year. So, you know, that's the kind of stuff that I wish we could get more insight into. I think when people say that they're not sharing as much information, that's the kind of stuff that they're referring to. My cheek. Test was purely master modes right now, probably to allow for a longer testing period for it. I hope so. I hope that's the case, yeah. Rep is totally in hands of mission creation team. That's right, that's what happened. Thank you, RoboClaw. It got dropped. And we learned about that last monthly report, right? Was that May? Or was that April, actually? That might have been April that they mentioned that. No. No? Was it March? Jeez. We really fly through these months, don't we? Okay, I guess nobody's taking care of reputation. I'm just wrong. I could have sworn the mission features team had it. Moved under the remit of another team and likely got deprioritized because of PES, as others were left out because of it. Yeah, which would have been so nice to know last year, you know? It was an SCL. They mentioned it in a monthly report too, I swear. I'm not making this up. I know they talked about it somewhere. Here we go. Finally, after inheriting ownership of the reputation system, the team began designing out the system as a whole alongside prioritizing which work comes first. So the missions features team, I guess, just took it. And unfortunately, they never updated the progress tracker. So we don't really have any way of tracking it. I don't know. $320 targeted for July. We'll release in August. That would put I mean, that would make it like a normal Q2 patch, right? That would essentially be them shoving another patch in May and sticking to the same patch launch schedule. Because usually our second patch of the year comes out in August. So that does open them up for another patch in October. And then another one in December. But you think they would just skip October and go to December? A single patch from August to December would be rough. Karmic Joke and Chopper, thank you both for the sub. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. Progress tracker only extends stuff out or adds things, never cleans up old stuff. Yeah, that's kind of, I think that's a little, because then you come across these like items and you read that they were last updated in January 4th of 2021 and you're like, okay, there's no way that they're on the same schedule that they were then, right? So that's why I think the progress tracker is not a great way of knowing what's being worked on at what time anymore. Yeah, this year's patch system is really weird. You can filter by period. Actually, if you use Shiny Tracker, you'd have a better time filtering stuff out. I just keep going to this because it's an easy link up here, but Shiny Tracker is a great way to be able to filter things out based on what you want to see. It's a creation date, not an update date. So what it should say is created on rather than updated by. So they are updating it in real time then. So you can do a bunch of filters here. It's very nice. And the creator is right there in chat. Shiny Hobo. Hello, friend. Okay. Onwards to the... Where were we? Here we go. Gameplay features also made improvements to the Defend Korea mission, including splitting trespasser tracking between the station's interior and exterior to help players better understand where to search. Okay, so the progress tracker might actually be more up to date than it says on there. But then how do we know? We can't know when it was made up to date. It's so tough. And I know that it's hard for them because they don't have the employees to keep it up to date. It's just like, as a development tracking tool, I shy away from it because of that kind of stuff. We are also prototyping a means to take the turrets temporarily offline and do a momentary ping on intruders, which may or may not be used. Huh. Okay. Work continued on the data heist, retrieve consignment, and ship escort missions alongside the ship trespass feature. This should not be underestimated how important it is that they are working on so many new types of missions at the same time. They desperately need to release that game and have it be a success. Squadron? Yeah. You need to check every 2 weeks and look for yourself. Hey, I don't have the time for all that. Go through every item on the progress tracker every 2 weeks and remember what it looked like before. That's what the shiny tracker is for. This is a lot of words though. No, I'm kidding. This is fine. So this is like a update patch. Okay, I see. Yeah, this is a useful page to use as well. Thank you for the channel. It's really interesting. What's your feelings on the fact that no tasks exceed 2K23 for Squadron? Also the fact that this year's SitCon is on 2 days. I think they just haven't updated the progress tracker for Squadron. But 2-day CitizenCon is interesting. They've got to do something special. They have to. Like, you can't have a 2-day convention like that. I mean, the stuff that we already had in a convention was almost not big enough for 1 day, right? So they must be doing something extra this year outside of Star Citizen. Maybe it's the Steam launch of Arena Commander. Maybe it's an announcement about Squadron. I don't know. But they do need to say something about Squadron, or else we're all going to be in trouble. All right, finally, mission features worked with actor features to get the ledge grab feature enabled in the PU. Seeing it through the QA and go no-go process. Oh, that's freaking awesome. This feature allows players to grab onto ledges while in midair, significantly improving climbing and allowing players to reach ship entrances that were previously out of reach. Oh my They also made a pass on the prison escape mission alongside the USPU to ensure the new feature could be used to its fullest. How long has it been? How long have we waited to be able to board the Cutlass through its side doors? Oh, God. This has got to be at least a 7-year-old requested feature. And it's so simple. I mean, I don't mean it's simple to make. I mean, it's simple as something you think of in a game. You're not going to go to a new RPG and be like, yeah, it's got 40 hours of story. It's got 80,000 lines of dialogue. And, oh, what's this? You can grab ledges. Like, it's not a selling feature, but it's so important. And we've waited so long for this. Like, we had to deal with only jumping on rocks that had the specific color so that you could climb up. We had to deal with only going into the Cutlass or other ships a certain way because you couldn't grab onto ledges. Finally, ledge grabbing. I can't believe it. I think I have video too to get us hyped up on it. Oh, do I? Do I not? Yo, that's about to be incredibly disappointing if I don't have this footage. I should, because it was from CitizenCon. I might actually not have it. Oh, that sucks. Improved platforming is a thing that they've been working on, though. Hold on, I could pull this up. I can get this. Nope. This is proving more difficult than I figured it would be. Partnered development. Here we go. Okay. So here we can see some of this improved platforming and ledge grabbing in a very basic test environment. But, you know, proof of concept. The first and only game to be included in people's will. Still in alpha 30 years later. I think you underestimate how many people die when games are not being made yet. It's like seeing bad reviews of Star Citizen because the reviewer doesn't like space games. Because backers were complaining that there was not enough time to get to panels and enjoy the booths, so they made it 2 days. Oh. Original response took a week, which means it had to be accepted and modified to make sure they didn't leak anything. Oh, I see. The hate CIG gets is because they never release anything. If Squadron 42 releases, it's good or even great game. Gamers will love it and it will be a huge win. It will never live up to it. It doesn't matter how good Squadron is. The time it has taken to come out will always hold it back, I think. Always be held against it. And, you know, like, they're going to have to own that. It took a long freaking time to make. There's never going to be a, yeah, it took a long time to make, but they had to start a studio and they were building 2 games and they were building the engine and they're having all these problems and the management didn't do very well. It's only going to be, it took that long to make and this is the score it got. And, you know, love it or not, that's what the consensus will be. Wouldn't this need super smooth server FPS? Not if things aren't moving around. You can mantle onto stuff right now. Diablo 3 took 10 years and we know how that game turned out. Skyrim, or not Skyrim. What is the next Elder Scrolls game? I think that one's supposed to be taking like 13 years, 12 years they're estimating now. So it got announced, what, like 5 years ago, and they're saying it won't be out until 2026, 28. I mean, their games are starting to take longer. Just how it goes. Studios make problems. Developers make mistakes. Games take a long time. They're expensive. Star Citizen had its own problems, had its mistakes. But you'll wait to see ledge grabbing. They made just a few things, but your girl who doesn't even play is going to be running around asking you to buy her everything. And unfortunately, there's just no point in buying everything. When do I expect Squadron 42 to be out? Within the next 4 years? It's because they dropped Elder Scrolls 6 for Starfield. I don't think they dropped it. I think they planned on having it out beforehand. But that's, again, a key point. You know? Hey, this game is going to take 13 years to make. But a caveat, that's because they were working on another game already. So, like, those kinds of things don't get mentioned when you talk about game development. I mean, they will for a game like Elder Scrolls. But, like, for any, you know, small game that doesn't have a proven pedigree, you're not really going to mention that stuff. Star Wars Eclipse got announced a year ago. It's not planned on coming out until 2026, 27. Starfield started work in 2015. It's not coming out until 2023. Halo Infinite, their engine development started in like 2014, I believe. Didn't come out until 2021. These games take a while. And for those games, they have publishers that'll push them out. Get it done, you know? Star Citizen doesn't have a publisher that's going to force them to get it done. They're going to do it at their own pace. Yeah, and Halo was really broken. That sucked. Oh yeah, Cyberpunk too. Started, it got its announcement in 2012, same time as Star Citizen, and it came out in 2021, 9 years later. It be like it be. And again, there are caveats for all of those games. There are reasons all of them took a long time. It's not my point to make an apples to apples comparison. It's just like the reality of game development. Anyways, let's go to graphics. June saw the Planet Tech team wrapping up their latest tools and working on the new water system. Water ripples can now be simulated across region borders, and further reworks to render code integrations with planetary atmospheric passes made the process smoother. Yay, water! Quantum obstacles for generic shapes were also physicalized and passed to the engine team for integration. This is becoming something that's popping up in more than one team work. This is, I think this is going to be a change to how we do travel. This is probably what's necessary for the Air and Halo belt to get its gates. Cyberpunk was actually first teased in 2006. Was it really? With the teaser photo? I did not know that. These other games also don't have Chris Roberts, who refuses to release unless it's perfect. There's that. Yeah, I think the Air and Halo belt, which I can pull up a clip. I mean, you guys know about the Air and Halo belt, but you might not know about the gigantic gates owned by ArcCorp that are supposed to surround it and cut off people from flying through it easily. So, like, normally you can just jump through an asteroid belt in Star Citizen right now, but I think these... what are they calling them? Quantum obstacles are what's going to force us to use these gates to get through this belt and into the inner system. Okay, the graphics team spent part of the month fixing bugs, improving the render thread, and developing the upcoming temporal upscaling system. For global illumination, a ray tracing prototype is now in progress, and work began on screen space probes. So that's another big graphical improvement that they can make to this game. I can't wait to see what it might look like to have, who knows how much, like to what level of ray tracing they're wanting to do here. Oh man. But imagine, because the lighting looks really good in this game already. I think sometimes it falls flat, but like on planets and stuff, it can look really, really nice. I can't wait to see what global illumination will do. Fun fact, the person who is working on ray tracing is the same person who did a lot of the work surrounding the gas clouds we got in the game. Left for a little while to go do some other stuff. Came back in to help with the lights. Yeah, when the light source isn't blinding you. That would be great. UI that reacts to lighting. Think there will be other options, but likely require a longer way around. Yeah, going over it or something. Imagine how much worse the FPS will get with ray tracing. Well, I am hoping that we're dealing with better... We're dealing with better, whatchamacallit, before we get ray tracing. Better optimization FPS. How do I know that type of info? I asked. The volumetric clouds make FPS struggle. I don't know if it was volumetric clouds or I don't know if it was the planetary volumetric clouds or just the gas clouds. I think it might have been just the gas clouds. But yeah, those planetary clouds can hurt. I'm very happy that they've got somebody who can work on this, though. It's going to be cool to see it in, and like I said, I hope it comes in after Vulkan is well and ready. Speaking of which, Gen 12 and Vulkan also received various bug fixes that impacted rendering and streaming performance. The GPU resource lifetime was restructured, and WAW hazards for render graph deferred execution are handled more efficiently too. The first iteration of entity spawning based on mesh setup and CGAs was submitted, which is required for Maelstrom. That's again the damage system. Alongside the UI tech and Squadron 42 teams, graphics improved the performance and visual quality of the area map. The interior and FPS mini-maps now use the render layers feature, which can now be applied to CGA joints, skin, and CGF attachments. Incorrect UI edge cases were also resolved and now scale correctly with scene exposure. Okay. Hey, we got 420 viewers in the chat right now. Cheers, guys. Thank you for the good numbers. The VFX team enabled DataForge to support particle library groups in preparation of the upcoming changes to weapon effect setups. That's what we were talking about earlier. Plasma, heat damage, all that kind of stuff. Probably also will fall in line with the wear and tear kind of additions they're doing. Will they ever optimize volumetric clouds? Once you turned volumetric clouds off, you saw FPS improvements. Yes, they will continue to optimize those as they can, as they're building the game. Nothing is set in stone with this game. Everything will be touched again at some point. Yeah, charge and drain too, Ed. A crash impacting... I'm sorry, did I just skip something? No. A crash impacting fire-related child effects was fixed. Oh, gosh. Don't you hate it when children respond to fire? So annoying. An entity-wide burn state can now be applied that uses dirt parameters and object temperature to determine damage and glow. Glow uses a specific shader from permanent effects for game-wide consistency. All I can think of whenever I read about fire in this game is just Far Cry 2. I'm so excited for that. I'm just pumped to get a flamethrower and go out on some moon and set things on fire and look at how they look and spread and stuff. I'm going to set like a Ursa rover on fire and then drive it through the savannah on Hurston and see what happens. Lightning was also improved. For example, lightning cascades can be timed with a new controller, and ship shields now trigger when struck by lightning. That's cool. That would be so cool if... You know what that makes me think of? Makes me think of this shot from... What are these ads? God. Wow, where is the trailer for the... Oh, it's the first thing that pops up. Yeah, this is what that makes me think of. Lightning in the coil. See, these lightning strikes would be triggering the shields on this ship now, right? Oh, I can't wait. The coil is going to be a very cool area. For those who don't know, it is one of the main locations in Squadron 42. It's just gigantic, like space storm. Huge. And it's got a lot of clouds, as you can see. How do I rate this monthly report from 1 to 10? So far, I'm sitting at a solid 5. It's got some good stuff. But, you know, nothing too groundbreaking just yet. But that's never stopped us. Let's go to in-game branding. I don't know when the free flight starts. I'm sorry. Last month, branding worked closely with EU Locations 2 on navigational signage for New Babbage. Okay, cool. So this is probably so that they can get the new player experience working on Microtech as well. So Arcorp and Microtech will probably be our first 2 locations. And began building various artwork assets for an upcoming event. I wonder if that's outside of the Blockade Runner one they were talking about. Maybe something at Microtech in New Babbage, maybe? They didn't really specify that. Yeah, I did the mission section. Should start around noon EST based on what you've seen. Cool. They also progressed with artwork for Pyro, including the final touch-ups on navigational signage for Ruin Station. Yay! New player's guide, Ruin Station. Can I hear a whoop whoop? That would be very funny. The branding team began work on the underground facilities too, which includes creating different mock-ups for the commercial lobbies. Underground facilities, folks. What did you all think that they were going to make progress this fast? And it's okay to say no. Or yes. No wrong answers. This is what we were getting last year, though. Concept images. Just kind of giving us an idea of what they were going to look like. I figured these were like a year out. A year and a half out. I'm glad to see the progress they're doing on them. It still sounds like they're not going to be... They might not be here this year. I don't know. It really depends. They're probably going to introduce it with Pyro, so whatever happens there. But they've managed to, like... get them pretty far along in the gray box. They're getting the, it sounds like, what were they just talking about here? They're getting in-game branding in there, so they're pretty far along, I think, with getting them up to snuff in terms of art. Wonder how far along the above ground part is, though. Well, this was about the lobbies, at least, so... more kind of this area. These kind of normal civilian locations. Which, this stuff we're looking at here is from, I think, either... Yeah, this is from March of this year, so they've had about 3 months of work on top of whatever this is. Seems like they're doing alright. Just hope they can have them linked into missions and stuff, you know? Never expect them to do anything fast. Ow! If there's one team that's doing things fast, what the heck was that? Oh! What? There's like a... Is this... Mrs. Tomato, is this a prank? There's a little bobby pin was sticking from the bottom of my desk, but it was stuck on a sticky piece. And it was sticking straight down, so it went into my knee. Ow! I wonder how long that's been there. And I don't actually think it was a prank by Mrs. Tomato. I probably left it there doing something. But yeah, the locations teams are doing really good at their work. You think they'll be here for Q4? Maybe we'll see one at SitCon. I think that would be a good SitCon demo. Yeah. They did mention something about working on private sessions this report. I'll keep an eye out for that. I didn't see anything yet. Oh, imagine though. Assassination by Bobby Pin. Okay, Interactables team. Throughout June, the Interactables team explored new ideas for props that haven't been seen in the verse before. Like what? What does that mean? They also created new flare items for subscribers. Yay! I think it was like a whale. Stormy the whale, whatever his name is, the whale mugs in game. Who else is hyped for Bounties 1.5? Can't wait for knocking out peeps. Gotta practice distortion cannons, I suppose. Isn't it Bounty Hunters V2? Either way, I am excited for that. It's going to add a lot more. The Nerf gun cocks in the background. It's going to add a lot more variety to bounty hunting missions. I hope they boost the pay, though. Oh, they changed it to... Wait, what? They changed it to 1.5? No. When did they do that? Ah, oh, jeez. Did they scale back what they're adding? Or are they just expanding the gameplay so they don't think it's as big a deal as it was? Still says V2 on here. Where did they change it? They just say that on one of the shows? Or a roadmap roundup? Oh, it says it in this report somewhere. All right, well, let's continue and I'll see what it says. Live Tools team in Montreal. In Montreal, the Live Tools team entered the analytics phase of the usability research done last month. When complete, the team will establish an action plan that will determine the next priorities in improving the usability of the Hex Networks Operations Center. That's just stuff they're using for Quantum. It was AC 1.5? Well, let's see. Search for 1.5. Well, it's not on here. Bounty. It's not on here either. I don't think they did it in the last report. So I would be interested in knowing where it was mentioned. Because they called it Bounty Hunting V2 in May. Bounty Hunting V2. Maybe it was a misread somewhere. I think it's player relations tool. Maybe, but usually when they're talking about Hex, it's... Well, I wouldn't say usually. The only Hex I know is the one they use for the Quantum system. No, I picked the one that didn't actually say Hex. Here we go. So this is the only Hex I know of in the top corner here. And it would make sense if it was a system tools team or the Montreal Live Tools team that's doing it. But I haven't seen anything else, so I just assume that it's the Quantum interface whenever they talk about it. I think Hex holds all of it together. Like it's the wrapper for Odin and Quasar and like the display. But I don't know. I think we're both onto it. It's just the tool that they use for all those things and they break them out separately. Yeah. I just called it Quantum because that's the easiest thing to refer to it as, but it does seem like a overarching sort of thing. All right, locations team. Last month, the EU locations team progressed with closing out rooms for Rundown Station. Is that supposed to say Ruined Station, or is this referring to the Rundown Station type? I think it's the latter, right? That would make the most sense. I don't think they've introduced a new station called Rundown, but they have been talking about derelict, abandoned, outlaw stations that appear rundown. Which, if my footage loads fast enough, we can look at. Board Gamer said it as a joke. Oh, Bounty Hunting 1.5. So, like, I think... Man, my computer is just getting slow at loading this footage now. Every week it's slower. I think I'm running out of storage. Any of that Quantum stuff actually exists? A little bit. So far with Quantum, you will get missions based on probability volumes. So like combat beacons are generally based on probability volumes, and Repair, restock, and refuel prices are affected by quantum. It's hard to tell, but that's what they tell us. Yeah, here's some of the rundown space station looking stuff. And you can tell, like, they're old locations from other stations made to look more rundown. Security section. Central locations like that. So they've shown us plenty of this kind of stuff. Cool locations, but as always, it's going to be dependent on what they fill it with. Okay. The station has had some great TLC, and we hope players will enjoy exploring these new areas. We'll enjoy exploring them if there's stuff in them. They also completed tasks for an upcoming event before beginning various new projects. I'm guessing that's the same event that they were talking about earlier, but maybe it is the blockade event. Who knows? You hadn't noticed any effect on beacons? I think when they started to add it, we started getting a lot more combat beacons. Like late last year. I thought that's what people were reporting. But maybe I'm misremembering that. Yeah, it does seem like they meant Ruin Station. I don't know. The Sandbox team closed out Pyro's outposts and moved on to planetary distribution work. Development of the underground facilities continued too, with the team exploring new areas and further expanding these already considerable locations. The Organics team continued cloud development for planets and worked on new and interesting flora that players will find in Pyro. There's your asking about clouds. You're particularly observant? Well, that's good. Oh, you're not particularly observant. Oh, you shouldn't have corrected yourself. I don't notice either. And that's the thing, is like quantum might be in the game, but if nobody's noticing it, how much does it matter to us? Not that I'm saying they shouldn't do it if they have it. Just saying, like, for us, it's not really in game, and it's not making that big a difference. Wow, I look so low in the camera right now. Can we? There we go. I look like a child over here. June saw the narrative team further developing and populating Pyro. As a lawless system, it presents a lot of interesting opportunities for the team to explore. You guys keep seeing me like move my mustache because these hairs are so annoying. Oh, I hope we reach our goal next week when we do the streamathon and I can cut this thing off because it's driving me nuts. Okay, sorry. As a lawless system, it presents a lot of interesting opportunities for the team to explore how existing game systems may change and take on new nuance. The team works on further outlining mission content and providers, refining the unique food options that will be available at some of the remote space stations, and detailing signage and graffiti that will be placed around various locations. It's gonna be... They keep talking about this kind of stuff. The lawless system is going to change gameplay. And I think they need to be careful with that, honestly, because, like, when we think of change gameplay, we're not thinking of, oh, there's no security to help back me up, or, oh, there's not as many space stations here. Like, those are obvious. I feel like when we think of changing gameplay, we're actually talking about like they said, the nuances, the little things, the little tiny things, like everything that might happen to you during a mission should be different to some extent in a very lawless system. Maybe not everything, but a lot of things. The way that I approach an outpost should be different. The things that people say to me when I get to that outpost should be different. The methods of loading cargo onto my ship should be slightly different. Like there's a lot that they could do with Pyro, and they keep talking about how it's going to be a change to gameplay, but I'm wondering just how much it'll be, because so far from what we've seen, it hasn't been a crazy amount of change. We only got that one demo in 2021, but since then, I'm really hoping that they have more to show on that this year in CitizenCon. I have faith that they will. I'm just expressing my own, worries. What if they added dual request beacons? Players throw in a wager and the other has to match it. That would be cool. Meet up and duel. Like an outlaw station not having a gun restriction. Right, that's a good one. Like not having an armistice zone there, but still having guards that know that you have a gun. Those are like nuances that I'm looking for. And AI probably brings a lot more of those nuances to the game, and we don't know if AI is really ready for that. Narrative also continued their final push towards the release of Alpha 3.20. This included naming and writing descriptions for numerous assets, reviewing new text for gameplay features, and further refining new mission content. Additionally, they made deeper dives into alien species lore as xenolinguistic development continued. This involved listening to new audio samples and debating which style of speech fit best with the culture and lore. I hope they start to go more into Tavaran stuff at this point. This is another sign that 3.20 might be coming sooner than we thought. It's also possibly a sign that we're not going to get any other missions if narrative is further refining mission content and it hasn't been added to the release view. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to know because we don't have ISC to depend on. But there are no mining missions in here, I don't think. And it would be very weird to me if they weren't able to get mining missions in for 3.20. Sounds like Squadron 42 stuff. The Xeno stuff. I feel like there's going to be more xenolinguistic stuff in Star Citizen, since Squadron is so human-focused except for the Vanduul. But I guess there's also a run-in with the Xion ship, so maybe that'll be in there, yeah. That's how they say Ruined Station will run, but what about all the other stations in the system, you know? Think they need help from the EUPU team from reminding missions, and it hasn't happened yet. That really sucks. That was going to be great to see. I would love to see FPS mining missions, particularly would be good. Online services. In June, the online services team completed a major refactor of the inventory system. These changes won't be visible to players, but will touch on every inventory type in the game, with the goal being to address some long-standing bugs and improve PES performance and stability. Really would love if the inventory worked faster. Good to hear that they're getting this done as well as a visual overhaul. The team also worked on server and engine side integration for the return of private lobbies in Arena Commander. That's what they were talking about, private lobbies in Arena Commander, which will be great because I hope that's in for 3.20. Lastly, online services fixed various bugs related to long-term persistence and long login issues. More of those things that probably came up with PES. They said it applies to all of them. There are no armistice zones anywhere. Cool. I hope the AI backs that up, you know? Research and development. In June, work on atmospheric and volumetric cloud rendering continued. Transmittance profiles and their filter chains were optimized and improved to reduce noise and artifacts in Raymarch results. Further research went into the temporal upsampling of those results to produce a stable and detailed full resolution frame that can then be composited into a scene. Sorry, but I don't know. I don't know what that means, my friends. I do appreciate the R&D though, and I appreciate you, Dirty Robot. Thank you for the sub. Thanks for being so active in chat and hanging out. I hope we get the Orison platforms as well. I think we will in 320. Those seem like a shoo-in, but I guess they're not on the release view yet, so never say always. Systemic services and tools. The Systemic Services and Tools team began planning the required service refactor in support of server meshing. Okay, began planning. Okay. They also They also began code cleanup and working through tech debt for the diffusion architecture and general instance manager. Additionally, the team supported USPU with bug fixes and integration towards the Mist Hull C and Cargo feature releases. I wonder what Systemic Services and Tools has to do for server meshing. Interesting. I don't think we're going to hear anything significant about server meshing in a monthly report first. I think they'll put something out about this stuff in another thing at some other time. But yeah, I wonder what they have to do, if this is stuff that's related to like item tracking or what. No talk about quantum once again. Nothing about the economy, which will be more disappointing every year. Certified Gumbo, I see you coming in, gifting out a community sub just in time for the Tony Z's. Also, subbing on your own, man. Thank you. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me Tony Z without a Z. Come on. Also, thanks for hopping by, dude. If you guys don't know him, Certified Gumbo, also streaming Star Citizen, doing the good work here on Twitch. Check him out. Give that link a click. Or a tap, if you've got a finger instead of a mouse. Tech art and animation. June saw Tech Animation integrate their long-awaited changes to the DNA system. This enables new head assets and provides a pipeline that will open new ways to author and customize new game content. More characters is great, but like, what about the hair, guys? What about the hair? Shared services that run centrally and how they will integrate with the shards. Fair. Logic of air traffic control needs to transition to a separate service. Honestly, I feel like they've talked about the air traffic control transition for a couple years now. Where is that quote from? From a different monthly report? The team then began new initiatives while they wait for further head art. This included updating the Maya pipeline codebase from Python 2.7 to Python 3.7 and thoroughly testing it. This was released to the user base in June, with the team currently working through the final bugs. Progress Tracker ATC service, I see. Time it was recently extended. When did the work start on that? That must be a long actionable, right? I do not know when the free fly is. I'm sorry. Okay, VFX. Yeah, Q1 of 2021. I thought so. They've been talking about it for a while. Probably saw some time off for a while. There's no long hair or good ponytail for player characters. Game is literally unplayable. Can I have a moment with this real quick? Can we go all the way back to this? We just have a moment to talk about this real quick. Where's my sound? What? Why am I not getting any sound? What is going on? Windows. What are you doing? Don't do this. What the f... Oh. That was weird.
Badass that she's always been as a soldier.
All right, check this out.
I wanted to communicate that through her costume, allow some personality through some of her other elements.
Pacheco was heavily inspired by Blade Runner and also a lot of the 80s and 90s sci-fi film. Her also being in the crime syndicate, we didn't want her to be wearing pants or a shirt. We wanted her to be a little bit of protective gear, some combat stuff here and there, but nothing too heavy. She wanted to be a little bit incognito, so she'd have like a hood to cover her face or her identity a little bit.
So with Pacheco's hair, the number one thing that we wanted to try was a very different style. First off, it gives her personality and makes her stand out, and it feels like it fits her to begin with. But also, we wanted to make sure that we were able to do that with our new hair tech.
I wanted to look special, and I wanted to not give her just a regular plain Jane type of hair. I wanted her to have a little bit of possibly hidden culture, and she looks badass, man.
So since this is all very work in progress with our hair pipeline, and we're trying to finalize that now, if it's not completed for 3.5, we're not going to let that stop us for the release of Pacheco in 3.5. So I hope that when players see Pacheco, and that they're excited and that they get to see a new style.
3.5, they were trying to get this in. 4 years ago. And like, I'm not going to give them crap. There's much more important things to get done than hair. I get it. It just sucks, man. Long hair would be great. It's just a bummer that, like, clearly it got shelved. Clearly they realized, along with Mission Givers, that hair was not going to be that important for a long time. So, yeah, it's a bummer. The hairstyles in this game are just not great, but someday I assume they will be. All right, so the VFX team increased support for several locations across Pyro, including ruined stations interior and exterior, various derelict settlements and outposts, which we are getting quite a few. I actually don't think that's on here. Yeah, they have not added that. There's stuff that's not been added to this release view that should be in this patch. I think I'm going to do like a 3.20 preview video next week, maybe talking about the stuff that we expect to be in this patch, but they still haven't confirmed. Add a barbershop on the stations. No kidding. Let me put a barbershop on my ship. Come on. How cool would that be? You're the place that everyone goes to get their hair cut. Come on. Space barber. Can't beat it. Due to the modular nature of these locations, time was taken to ensure the artists understood which file level to add effects to. For example, for a food stall, they need to add hot steam effects directly to the stall asset rather than to its locations. I get it. I get hot steam applied to me every morning. The team also supported several new platforms on Orison, including falling and rustling leaves, my favorite, water fountains, ooh, love those, and more. Several ships progressed throughout June, too. So that's our report. I would say it's a pretty middle of the park report about what I'm expecting from the summer of 2023, the state that we're at, and the way things are going. They are being a little bit quiet about things that are definitely still being worked on. Maybe they got dropped for the month, but things like the quantum economy simulation that they've talked about for the last few months and then now just haven't brought up. UI developments like the star map, the UI, the HUD, the different map types that they're doing, all of this stuff, it's weird to not see it in here, but it's always possible they took a break on it. Either way, I do think that a lot of these features and missions and stuff they're working on are interesting, but with the way that updates are rolling out this year, it's really hard to understand when anything might be coming. So I wouldn't put a solid date on any of this stuff till it shows up on the release view, but I do think that we're looking at more things still being added to 320 before it goes live. And probably another hefty patch by the end of the year, whether that's 3.20.3 or 3.21, whatever it might be. I don't know. But that has been your monthly report in June, folks. Thank you so much for joining me for this. Always a good time. And I mean always. Monthly report streams are generally the best streams we have every month. And we get a lot of good discussion in, and I get to learn things from you. So thanks for showing up, folks. Thanks for coming to the chat if you did. Thank you for the subs and support today. Seriously, it always means a lot. It always goes really far for us, and it helps us out a ton. If you are looking for other ways to support us, Patreon is a great way. Not only do we do exclusive chat rooms, we release exclusive videos to our patrons every month. The new one is coming out probably tomorrow. We release all of our secret codes for our giveaways. So the secret codes going towards the Ares Inferno that I hide in my videos, and you'll be able to get a few extra entries into our giveaway every month through that. We give those straight away to our supporters on Patreon. We also take your referral code and put it into our own referral code randomizer on the website, so that anytime somebody clicks one of our links in my new players guides or my videos to try and join up, it will send them to one of our supporters' referrals instead of my own. That's for a certain tier, but we try to give you guys perks for supporting us. This is our only income of the family. We work very hard on this stuff, so it's very much appreciated when you guys help us keep it going. But big thanks to everybody for being here. Again, it was a lot of fun. I always have good fun with these. I hope that next month's is just as good. When the ships like Pioneer or Orion will be in game because you want them to start playing, that's a while. Capital class ships won't be in game until server meshing, I think. Expectation is we are like 15 minutes out from the free fly going live and the referral reveal. I hope so. That'd be 4 p.m. UTC. It'd be right on the money. I'm going to let you guys go for that then, so you can go prepare for your free fly time, see your referral bonuses, all that jazz. And in the meantime, I'm going to drop you off with... I wonder if we can actually raid Lazy B this time. Let's see. No! Still can't. Okay, that's weird. For whatever reason. I'm just going to assume that we've been maliciously blocked. In that case, I'm going to drop you all off with Meyer streaming some Star Citizen. He's getting around, it looks like, in Hurston, I think? No, R-Corp. No, Maria Pure of Heart is Hurston. Yeah, he's in Hurston. So go check him out. Give him some love. Dude's an amazing voice actor. When you get in there, ask him to do a cool voice. Also, tell him Space Tomato said what's up. Hope he enjoys the stream and has a good time. And I hope you all have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. I'll be back tomorrow for a podcast episode with Casa Black. And we'll be talking about upcoming features, which will fit in very well with this. Oh, she disables raids an hour before she ends. That's a good idea. Cool, that's a very good idea. All right, folks. Until next time, I'll catch y'all later. Bye.